What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 7 of KYP Podcast.
For your personnel, baby.
We got a big-time guest, Dana Barros. Guy averaged 20 in the NBA All-Star. Rudy, I know this is going to hit home for you.
Hey, man, this is a Massachusetts, Boston legend. He's from the mud, man. So let's get right into it.
Played 14 seasons in the NBA. This is going to be a good one. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 7 of KYP Podcast. We are super excited for the guest that we have on tonight. He has his jersey retired at Boston College in the rafters. He was first team All-Big East, giving everybody buckets during those years. 16th pick in the NBA draft. 16th pick. He won NBA Most Improved Player in 1995. He was also an All-Star in 1995. And in 1995, Rudy, he had a 50-point game. Dana Barros, thanks for joining us.
Legend.
Appreciate you. Pleasure to be here, fellas. Pleasure to be here, man.
So Dana,
I was just telling Icy, Dana, before you got on, was like, obviously growing up in Massachusetts, like we always hear, especially as a guy, we hear Dana Barros, Dana Barros, Dana Barros. But growing up now and seeing your body of work in the NBA, like I get to appreciate it more now. Like Dana was on a whole nother level, bro.
Appreciate you, bro. I get a lot of, people who actually play against me. Like, I will come home in the summer. I actually live in the same house that I grew up in for the first 4 years of my NBA career. So I went back to Mattapan on Clockwood Street, lived with my grandmother, my mother, in my little room, you know what I mean? In the back, still played at the Parks for 4 years that I was in the league. So, that was my lifeline. That was my foundation. And that's where I got all that work ethic from, is all the people in my crib, my mom, my dad, my grandmother. So that's where all that comes from, man.
That's impressive, man.
that's wild. We always like to start off with like a fun question outside of basketball. So I'm a New York native. If I was coming to Boston right now, I'm starving. I need the best place to eat in the city. Where are you taking me and Rudy? What's the spot?
I'm taking you to Mattapan. I'm taking you to let me see, a couple of different. We used to have the soul food spot, Chef Lee's, but now we just got the soul food spot at Mattapan Square. I'm taking you straight to the soul food spot at Mattapan Square. That's where we going. We got the
What's the name of the soul food spot now, Mattapan?
Damn, man, the son took it over, changed the name a little bit, but it's the same family. Brothers Restaurant in Mattapan.
I'm gonna have to take a visit.
Yo, it's run by some Greek dudes, man.
And they making the soul food.
Black-eyed peas, whatever you need, man. It's greens is run by some Greek dudes, but they've been there 30 years, man, so they know how to get it cracking.
That's crazy.
So, Dana, you mentioned you were playing in the Parks even in your NBA years. Let's start off, your younger years. What was your basketball game like? Did you have personal trainers and whatnot? You see a lot of the top prospects now, that have trainers, or were you more in the Parks just working on your game solo?
I never even heard of personal trainers, man.
I had a feeling.
Back then, you know what I mean? We didn't have communities. We had like one boys and girls club. So it was all parks. We played in the winter. We shoveled the snow. We played outside in the winter most of the time. You know what I mean? So my game was, dude, I was this tall in 7th grade. So I played center in 7th grade. 8th grade, I was power forward. By the time I got to Severian, I was a guard. I was like this height at the end of my 6th grade. So they told me I was going to be 6'3", lied all up and down to my mom.
Do that all the time, man. All the time.
So my game was like, I was an inside game, but I always had handle, man. I couldn't even shoot at that point in my career. I didn't learn how to shoot till I was a freshman. My high school coach, you know what I mean, he took me and sat me down in the chair and taught me to put the hands straight and do this. So when I got to Severian, they called me Baby Isaiah because I had all the crazy handles and I couldn't shoot from the free throw line. Basically, that's what it was.
Yo, Dana, how'd you pick Severian? Because, Ice, if you don't know, Severian's more of a private school in the suburbs. So he's coming from Mattapan. That's the hood in Boston. So how'd you end up picking that school?
Great question, because my mom's was just like, yo, I need you to take this test, for CM, and we're going to take these. I said, whatever, no problem, I took the test. Wasn't no big deal. She told me I got into the school. I said, okay. I got to the school, showed up for orientation. And it was all boys. And I was like, wow, she got me. because we didn't have no internet, no cell phone.
Right.
We didn't have. I couldn't check up on the school. I just showed up, and that's how I got to Severian. I hated it. I was just like, that coach, that high school coach who taught me how to shoot. He saw me play, and he told me, I'm going to teach you how to shoot. So every free period I had, he would give me 10 minutes for lunch. So I would have an hour free period, then I'll have 50 minutes left of lunch where I would have to sit in a chair and go like this and just work on the technique of my instead of my shot that I had.
Right.
I would spend like $1.50 on a payphone calling my mom. I was like, yo, this dude is bugging. I hate this dude.
You letting me eat.
You know, so that's how it started out. And then eventually after like a month, I started making jump shots. And then, you know, he had to kick me out the gym at that point. I was just like, it was like I had a fever for it. It was just crazy.
If you ever, and we'll talk about the complex a little later on in the show, but if you ever walk into the Dana Barros basketball club, you have your scoring for the MIA tournament your senior year. Man, I don't know the exact numbers, but I feel like everyone should know what you did in the state tournament your senior year.
We have the 4 stat sheets from the 4 games. We went to the Eastern Mass Finals against Brockton. So in the 4 games, so leading into the tournament, I'm averaging, I think, 39, a game or 39. So my teammates call me into a meeting. It's like an intervention. I walk into the room. I'm like, somebody died because they all waiting for me to get into the room. So I get into the room and they're like, the coach is like, yo, we need you to shoot it almost every time you get it. And all the players was like, yo, we don't care how many times you shoot. We want to win. So I went from like 25 shots a game to like 35 shots a game.
You already averaging 39. How many more shots can you say?
Because what happened when we lost to the number 1 team in the state, right? And this is when I had my first big game. We lost to Don Bosco, who was number 1 team in the state. We lost to them in the tournament and in the Big East. I mean, in the Catholic Conference tournament. And I scored 49 in that game. And that's the highest I ever had. And they say, bro, we need this every game. And that's where so from that point on, they just was like setting picks, and we was trapping in full court pressing and just getting the game crazy. And that's how I was able to score that amount of points in that short amount of time.
Now, did it take for them to tell you that to understand how much of a dog you were, how unguardable you were? Did you already know and you just told him back? Or was that like the reality check? Like, man, I really do this shit.
Man, I knew like I was an unselfish player, man. Like even the years I shot, I mean, in the NBA when I averaged 22 a game, I shot 49% from the field. I never was a bad shot taker.
Right.
Tough shot maker. I could shoot with you in my face, but I wouldn't like pull up and fade away and shoot a Kobe fadeaway on you with 3 people on me. That wasn't my style. So they had to convince me, to just be, all right, we need you to be a 50-point a game. Like we need that 49 a game every game. So
it's 32 minutes too. It's not like a 48-minute game.
No 3-point line. No 3-point line.
No 3-point line. No 3-point line.
No 3-point line. I didn't come until my sophomore year in college. So I mean, after the first game, they put a football player on me playing Stoke. They put this big football dude on. He was talking about my mother, this and that, trying to get me to fight him.
Right.
But I had my coach hit me to that way early in the season because the people were doing that to me. And then I was just, at that point, I just felt like it was effortless for me. And then I went on a run of 55, 57, 55, and 49 for 4 straight tournaments. We lost to Brockton in the East Finals, and I had 49 that game. We lost by 3. So the high school career was crazy, man. And I got them all on tape too. I got the VCR joints.
Well, hey, I'm gonna need one of those, man. I just want to check it out real quick. I'll give it back.
And so
here's the deal: the Connect Media, right? He got all of them because we doing the documentary, doing the Dana Barros doc. So he got all the games.
Fine.
Dana, I have a question. So right now, you're putting up those 49, 50-point games, and you're playing in Boston. Right now, there's no Instagram. There's not really, mixtapes. So did you know how good you were on a national level? Or did you think, were you just thinking about Boston? Or were you thinking about, how you rank up against the best people in the country?
I had no idea, man. You know, I mean, I knew I was putting buckets up. I knew 55 was 55, no matter where you at. I knew that, but I didn't really understand the scope of it. You know, like it's just like it was all like a blur at that time to me. We didn't have, you know, I was an All-American football player. I was top 50 in the country. I took a visit to Michigan. I had a visit to Miami scheduled that I was going to take right after basketball signing day. But what happened at BC was I took 2 football visits to BC with Doug Flutie, who was just on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And then on the last day of signing, I'm signing my football contract. I had 3 o'clock that afternoon to go to BC, play football. Somebody left the basketball team, and basketball coach called me like, "Yo, you want the scholarship?" I'm 39 a game, and I'm getting hand-me-down scholarships. B. This is how it went.
Man, if you had, like, you mentioned the Connect, you know, if you don't know Connect Media, right? I see he's the man behind the lens, right? He makes the best mixtapes for all these young up and coming stars, right? If imagine Dana's 4, this is whole career, but imagine those 4 games in a highlight mixtape reel that they do now on the social media. What?
That's 20 mil, man. That's 20 mil right there.
Max.
You know, so that's just the difference, man. I was just an athlete, a natural athlete. On my visit to Michigan, I ran a 4.340. You know what I mean? Like, I was just super fast. Then when I went to Chicago for the pre-draft camp, I jumped a 43-inch vertical. So in football, I just ran. I was like, throw the joint up. You know,
you was a wide receiver.
Yeah, I was a receiver and D-back. I led in interceptions and I led the nation in kick returns and punt returns.
So that football toughness definitely converted over to the basketball hardwood.
Absolutely. I would watch tapes, man, and didn't realize I got knocked down like 5 or 6, 7 times. Or
right.
I was hit around. It didn't even faze me. It was just whatever. I just keep it moving.
We love talking about the official visits. What was it like at Michigan? Because, I mean, that's arguably the biggest football school. What kind of red carpet are they rolling out for you when you get over there?
Yo, this was crazy because we went out at midfield of the Michigan, I think it was Ohio State game, and like 35 of us on a visit though, right? We went out, and then we went out at half at the midfield in front of 105,000 people.
Your visit was Michigan, Ohio State, so
they really wanted you.
Oh, you might have went you was going to the league, to the NFL.
Dude, when I graduated, I didn't know I was going to the league. I got 2 letters, one from the Jets and one from the Giants, from coaches who remember me, who are now like special team coaches in the league, remember me running the 4.2940 and the 4.340. And I got letters saying if I didn't go to the league, to come to the Washington Redskins or the New York Jets punt and kick return camp. Crazy.
You're on the Jets right now.
Yeah, that they got problems down there. I don't want no parts of that, man.
You said you got a hand-me-down offer from BC. What were the basketball offers like? Who was coming at you from basketball?
No one, man. Really, I would say the only one who was.
How does that happen? That's what I don't get. How does that
happen? How?
Everybody thought I was playing football because I was top 50. So no one was going at me really hard. Like the only person who gave me a scholarship was locally was Jim Calhoun at Northeastern.
Right.
And URI, the black coach at URI, I forget his name. He was there. That was the only 2 players who
was Al Skinner the coach?
Al Skinner, yeah.
Okay.
So those are the only 2 dudes who offered me a full ride. So it was just like I didn't really have many choices, man.
Were you? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but that's how my whole career went. That's what I love about it, because that's what made me what I am. That's what made me. And like, okay, that's what you think. Okay, I'm gonna see you when I see you, though.
Right. Were you a camp guy? So back then, I think, because there is no social media, there's no internet. You have to go to the 5-star camps. You have to go to that one camp that summer to really solidify yourself. Were you one of those? Did you do the basketball camps?
I didn't go because Severian, the high school I went to, we went to the Super Bowl my junior year. So I was in football camp in July. Doing triple 3-a-days. So I didn't go to none of them 5-star joints. I just figured I'm gonna play football. I'm gonna go to BC, play football, and I'm gonna walk onto the basketball team and gas. That was my whole point. That was my whole plan.
So coach offers you for basketball, and then what's the thought process there for you?
I was like, absolutely, let's go. I hit the football coach right back, like, bro, I'm sorry, man, but football is not what I love. I never practiced football a day in my life, man.
Natural.
I just went out there like, throw the joint. I'm gonna run it out and up. Throw that joint up.
Man, who's Randy Moss?
Yeah, that's all it was. So I hated football. When it got cold, I was Randy Moss. I'm not going across the middle, B.
Hey, I played football up into 8th grade. Then I say, you know what? This ain't for me no more. I don't deal with this cold weather. Our ass is inside.
And I tell you, like, when I took my visit to Michigan, there's like 40 of us, right? I'm thinking these dudes is linebackers. They like 195 cock diesel. They're like, oh, I'm receiver. I'm D-back. I'm like a $149 B. I want no parts of this.
Maybe this shit ain't for me, man.
Nah, man.
That's a wild story to see how football was the route, right? And how it ended up in the end. That's unbelievable.
Crazy.
Definitely. And whatever the route, see, that's what I tell the young kids. Like, if I had to play football, I would have played football. Whatever it took, you know what I mean? Like, whatever it would have took. I went to school for free. That was my first goal, was to save my mother and my father 200 racks. You know? And once I made it to that goal, I would reset that goal to the next level, which was the league. I wasn't in high school like, I'm going to the league. I'm going to the Big East. I'm gonna let everybody know that they passed on me, and then happens from there. So that's what, you know, what my mentality was.
All you needed was the opportunity.
You step into practice at Boston College for the first day. Did you know right then that you were different and you were, you know, destined for, you know, a serious college career?
I think from a speed and athletic standpoint, every time I walked on the court, I always felt unmatched. I never lost a suicide. You know what I mean? Like, I never felt unmatched from an athletic standpoint, but I had to learn how to play point guard, because even as point in high school, I would just come down. A dude wouldn't think I would shoot from 6 feet behind the top of the key, and I would shoot. You know, I didn't have to share the ball. I didn't have great players beside me. As a freshman, I had, you know, 2 players averaging 18 points a game. I had to learn how to not jack that, you know, that joint.
How did that process go, man? How long did it take to initiate yourself as the point guard at Boston College?
Well, the guard who was supposed to start twisted his ankle in camp. You know, he missed like a week and a half. And at that point, it was a wrap. Like, you ain't getting this back, B. Like, it was a wrap. I ate, slept. I just was at the gym 24 hours a day. Like, nah, he's not getting it back. And that was my man's, but he wasn't getting it back.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, freshman year, you averaged about 14 points a game, which is serious for a freshman. And then it was over after that. That's when the buckets just started pouring in. So you ended up with over 2,000 points in your college career. Were you thinking about leaving early at any point? You said the league wasn't really on your mind. Were you just thinking one day at a time, honestly?
Yeah, because my junior year, you know, I think I averaged like 23, 24, something like that. But they always just saying I wasn't a point. You know what I mean? So and they didn't put me at point. Only time they put me at point in college was to break the press, be a one-man press breaker. They come out in the press, they throw it to me, and I just break the press, and then I give it to the point guard, and I go down and come off the pick. You know what I mean? So the NBA scouts never gave me that opportunity of saying, okay, we can look at this guy from a point guard standpoint. They always said he's an undersized too. So then I went to a senior tournament. I'm playing in Seattle at the senior tournament, and me and Tim Hardaway is going at it. Like, we was roommates actually, but we just had that respect for each other, and we knew that he was watching, and we just went at it, like picking each other up full court. Like, there was nobody else on the court but us two for like a 10-minute span in this NBA, you know, Chicago camp. And I think at that point, everybody started seeing, okay, he's running the show, but he's getting buckets at the same time. And it just started to say, okay, he has the ability to score so much that we can take him as a project point. You know what I mean? Like, and kind of how they brought me into the league, but they realized I could play point. I just wasn't allowed to do that.
That was when the NBA was just so generic, man. A point guard dribbles up the court, passes the ball. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, imagine now. Come on, man.
Great. I played for 10 coaches in 14 years, right? So my first year in the league, I got drafted by Bernie Bickerstaff, and he's like, baby boy, if you don't shoot the ball, I'm going to take you out. That was the mentality. So my rookie year, I'm like, let's go. Then he leaves, he goes to Denver, and KC Jones comes in. KC Jones he brings in Benoit Benjamin, and he tells me, if I put you in the game, you better not shoot the three unless it goes inside. So I'm like, 2 years of this, I'm like, damn, I'll be out the league in another year.
Hold on to that. We're gonna get to the league, man.
So
again, I want to hear more about that.
Dana, we do this little thing called the lightning round. It's kind of, in the middle of the interview before we get to your professional years. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and you just say, the first word that comes to mind, or, whatever is the quickest thing that comes to your thoughts. All right. So who was your idol growing up?
Gus Williams.
Funniest
Seattle.
Funniest teammate you ever had in the NBA?
Gary Payton.
We're going to have to hear some GP stories after this. Wildest teammate you ever had in the NBA?
Xavier McDaniel.
Damn.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Sedale 3.
Hey, why him?
Oh, can I say it?
Nah, you don't have to.
I'm just playing. So, Sedale 3 was kind of the party setter for the Seattle Supersonics. We had Gary Payton, Xavier McDaniel, Sedale 3, Dale Ellis. So we had a bunch of crazy dudes, and I would be so embarrassed, man. Like, I'm from the hood, B. I don't see everything, right? I've seen everything. We be in a commercial airport, right? 150 people waiting at the gate to get on the plane. They rolling dice, 5 racks a hand. Airport.
Gary Payton talk like this too.
Yeah, give me Yo, throwing 10 racks on the ground. Like, yo, I was like, yo, this team is crazy. They traded like all four. They traded all 4 of them because they said me and Sean and Gary was getting corrupt.
We're going to have to hear all about that. Favorite musical artist?
Artist is, I would say, Prodigy from Mobb Deep.
Love Mobb Deep.
R.I.P.
Who would play you in a movie?
Young or okay, play me as a young Dana or old Dana?
Either, up to you.
I'm gonna say
you can do both.
Devin Booker.
All right.
Pre-game meal in the NBA, what you used to eat before the games?
Tuna fish, applesauce, and sour cream and onion chips.
Man, you really from the hood, man.
Toughest guy to guard during your time in the league?
Muggsy Bogues.
So Dana, not to stop the lightning round, Icy, but I have to. As we're small guards, right? I hated playing guards that were smaller than me.
Mm-hmm.
That was our advantage. Every time you were faced up with a guard that was smaller than you, it's like, oh, this is gonna be miserable. You got to taste your own medicine.
Definitely, and that was the only guy who I thought was just as fast as me.
Right.
He would pick me up full court, and I would go by him.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, and I'd be like, where he's at? Then I turn around, he's right here. What the fuck just happened? That's how fast, and that bothered me because I never played against nobody that was faster than me.
Right.
That little fast guy, big people look like people don't realize they have a harder time guarding us than we have guarding them.
Mm-hmm.
True. Best kicks you played in? What kind of sneakers did you rock in the NBA?
I had my own joints for 1 year, Mizuno's. Custom fit to my. Yeah, I was the first player ever to have Mizuno's. I had a 4-year deal. I had billboards in Japan. I went to Japan twice, man. I was like a rock star in Japan. It was crazy, man.
I need a pair of Mizuno, dog. We'll talk about that later.
All day.
All right, we got two more. Best player you ever cooked in the NBA?
Nick Van Exel.
All right, last one. What in the world was Tony Kukoc thinking when he switched out on you and you dropped him?
He's like, why the F are we switching on shit?
He gets lonely on that island. You took him down quick. Luke's the best producer in the game. Luke, put that video in right now so the people
Yeah, we
can
need that.
drop
We need that,
Kukoc.
All right, NBA draft, Dana.
Okay.
Pleasure to work at the complex. You know, we come from, we represent the same thing, basketball wise in our community. You know, so I've heard your stories about the Chicago story. People need to hear the Chicago story, how it went down at the NBA draft. You think you're getting drafted by Chicago? Tell us what happened.
All right, so they telling me that I'm gonna be like a late first round pick. So they invited me to come to New York, and I'm like, hell no! You just told me I'm gonna be a late first round pick. I'm gonna be sitting there with the camera in my face, like
Right.
that's crazy. So I said, nah, I don't want to go to New York. I'm gonna sit at the crib because that day of the draft, when they had asked me, I was in Chicago when they called me, asked me, and said, you coming to New York tonight? And I'm like, nah. So I'm in Chicago. I had to work out with the Bulls. They love it. They're like, Dana, man, we're gonna draft you with the 20th pick. We have the 20th and the 21st pick. So I'm like, cool. I'm bugging. So I fly back to Boston. I get back to Boston like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm like, telling everybody, playing with MJ. And Chicago gonna draft me like 20th pick. This is crazy. So the draft come on. I ain't even watching the draft. Like, I'm just talking to my man. I'm there. Everybody's at my house. I just left. I'm going up my man's crib, just having a Heineken, watching the draft. And then 16th pick, David Stern gets up and he's like, the 16th pick, Seattle Supersonics select Donna Barriosi. I'm like, what the fuck is Donna Barriosi? Who's Donna Barriosi?
Right.
And my boy's like, yo, that's you. And I'm like, no. I swear to you, I'm literally crying.
Oh, you say, wait, they called you Donna Barriosi?
Yeah, he said Donna Barriosi. I'm like, who that?
Right.
So then I'm like, damn, why they do that? I'm like, I'm hot. Like, I'm crying. Like, I'm not happy crying. I'm crying like my lifelong dream has just been destroyed by a team that I ain't even talked to them. They never even hollered at me like, yo, we talking, nothing. So I'm devastated, man. I get home, I put on the happy face, but all that night I'm devastated. You know what I mean? So I get to Seattle. And I'm cool. I'm like, okay, Sean Kemp here. We living side by side. And the first game he plays against MJ in the Bulls, right? Which is like BJ. I'm sitting here looking at the scout report, looking at BJ Armstrong, like, bro, if I catch you in the alley, it's gonna be a problem. Like, so we come out, game starts. Come off the bench. I catch the ball the first time. I turn around in the corner. At first, I didn't even want the ball. I just wanted to run and get my legs loose. First time I catch the ball, I turn around. Gary kicks it up to me on the break. I turn around and MJ's in my face like this. I'm whoosh. And he's like, Dana, you ain't shooting no threes on me. And I'm like, oh, snap. He just called me Dana, yo.
He knows my name. He knows my name.
How you know? But they got the scouting report, right? You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
So I'm like, okay. And then I went into my mode. I'm like, I've been waiting for this ish my whole life. And I went like this to Sean Kemp. He's in the post, like, I'm like, get out the way.
Off on MJ.
Yo, he started laughing. He thought that was hilarious. Like, oh, you want to go? So he's laughing like it's hilarious. So
Michael Jordan in your face right now.
Right there, right? So I triple threat him. I'm like, I hit him with the jet. Then I go by him. I'm on the baseline, and I'm like I said, I'm 43 inches. I'm dunking everything near the hoop. I'm going to the hoop. I'm like, damn, I took off too far. So now I'm like, let me roll it.
Right.
Soon as the ball leaves my hand, all I see is this big ass black hand like slap that shit like 10 rows in the stands. So everybody's laughing. Everybody's clowning me. And MJ walked up, like put his arm around me like, I like that, little man. I like that.
That's dope.
Went at him, and ever since then we was cool. He would always holler at me, oh, Dana, me and you today. Me and you one-on-one every time I seen him,
That's fine. It's crazy too when in the lightning round you had mentioned Nick Van Exel. I remember I was watching the Knuckleheads podcast or listening to it, and he said one of the toughest guys. I believe he said it. I want to say, and Kenny Smith said it. That
Yeah,
the toughest guys that, or at least that Nick Van Exel at least mentioned you. But Kenny Smith said you were the toughest guards that he ever had to face. What was your moment where you were like, I'm here. I'm in the league. This is what my job is going to be for a long time.
well, I mean, I played behind Gary Payton for 4 years. So my fourth year in Seattle, I went and we lost in the playoffs to John Stockton in the Western Conference Finals or the semifinals, and they wanted to have breakup meetings. So, the GM came in and he told me, "Hey, Dan, I want to meet with you tomorrow." And I'm like, "Bro, I'm leaving tonight. I'm done." I said, "I'm not
Right.
coming back here next year." I said, "If I come back here next year, you're going to see the craziest dude you ever seen in your life because I need to play." I said, "I don't know what I can do. You're not giving me a chance to play. This is my 5th year of my deal. Y'all need to trade me right now because I'm not coming. If I come back, you see in the Boston Dana."
Right.
And I ended up getting traded that summer to Charlotte for 1 day, and then in a 3-way deal to Philly. And when I got to Philly, and they had Johnny Dawkins was there, and I got to Philly, and we played Seattle. Man, we played Seattle like the 5th game I was in Philly, and they was putting everybody on me. I only had like 16 points, but I had like 14 assists. They was putting everybody on me, and I was just put my head down and blow right by them. So at that point at halftime, I went into halftime, and I'm like, nobody on the court can check me, bro. I'm saying,
Right.
they can check me. And that just started building from that point, and it just kept growing. And I think my second year, John Lucas gave me the ball, and he's like, "It's your rock." He's like, I'm not even gonna talk to you unless I want you to run a play. And that was all love from JL, because I never got that from any coach.
And obviously, you didn't. No one wants to. Everyone wants to play. You don't want to be a backup. You want to get your minutes, but you got to go against arguably one of the best defenders in NBA history every day for 4 years. How much do you think that improved your game?
That improved it tremendously, and also that gave me a lot of confidence too, because that was difficult for him to do. And Sedale 3 was probably the best defensive player I ever played against, And he would tell me little tricks. See, me, when I got to the league, I was just full speed. Like in college, I would just say, "Oh, I'm going right," and I would just go by you.
Right, one speed.
Right. In the league, nah. Like Sedale 3 has such great anticipation. He would beat me to the spot. And after like 3 weeks, like he would tell me, "Young fella, come here, let me talk to you, young fella."
Right.
And he's like, "Bro, this is the league. Your first move ain't gonna work, bro." He's like, "You're gonna have to change directions, man." He go, "I don't care how fast you are. I'm gonna anticipate that first, So, that was a lot of Nate McMillan, man, was a great teacher for me, man. I had a lot of people coming into the league. I had Avery Johnson was in Seattle when I got there. Sedale 3, Nate McMillan, Gary Payton, and one more guard was there. That was crazy. It was crazy.
You had the best tutelage you could possibly get for a young player, man.
Nate and Avery were the two most confident point guards I ever played against or played with. Man.
And the coaching style just shows that Nate's been. I mean, obviously he's not with the Pacers anymore, but he's a respected coach in the league. Avery Johnson has been coach of the year, man. So you had a lot of great tutelage.
And Nate was coaching back then because when George Karl came in, he took over for K.C. Jones. Sean and Gary was wild, man, and George couldn't handle them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like Sean and Gary, like, "Yo, we throwing loops. We ain't running no play." And Nate was the coach, bro. Nate would go out on the court and be like, "Look, bro, you can't do that." And Nate was literally the coach. And Gary had taken his spot, but Nate took up that leadership role, and he was the only one who could really keep Gary and Sean in check from that.
They respected it.
Yeah. And he's been doing that from day one since I seen Nate. He's been doing that.
Dope, man.
You've mentioned that those are some wild squads out there. I gotta ask, what was the party scene like out in Seattle? You're brand new to the league. you got some money in your pockets, and you got some wild guys on your team. What were like the post-game celebrations? What was going on?
Man, listen, back then though, we didn't have to go to the club. We had a. If you look back at NBA had commercials with Miller and Miller Lite. They had a contract.
Really?
Every locker room had 3-4 cases of beer in the locker room every game. Every stanchion of every basket had Miller Lite on it, bro. Every basket. So dudes were sitting in the jacuzzi with a 6-pack after the game.
At the arena.
After the game in the jacuzzi.
Damn. Is there shorties in there too? You could bring like people from the outside in there?
No.
All right, my bad. Let me
Maybe Magic and the Lakers had it. They had a special.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know, but dudes would be lit by the time. And what happened was, Sedale 3 and Dale Ellis crashed leaving the arena one night and blew above the limit. And it was 25-30 minutes after the game. So people like, how you get to there 20 minutes after the game? Because they sitting in there like they had to stop all that. So the scene was, we would come out the locker room after 3 beers, and it was like everybody was there. So we like, where y'all going?
Right.
It wasn't much of a club scene back then, man. Like club scene, like mid-90s, like when Puffy and them came and all that, man. Then it just became
That's
crazy.
when it changed, right?
You know,
unless you're a Laker.
Yeah, like the Lakers. No, see, the Lakers had a club in the arena,
In the arena, right?
In the arena, the Forum Club. So after the game, you just walk 100 yards to the Forum Club, and you there till 5 in the morning.
Did you go into the Forum Club?
Absolutely.
Man, hey, come on, I gotta hear about that. How crazy was it? What was going on in there?
Man, it's hard. It's hard because I was raised by women, like respect, like my mother and my grandmother raised. My mother was 16 when she had me, my parents. So I was raised. I had so much respect for strong black women, man. And then, dude, you get out in the streets, man.
You were disgusted.
Dude, it's disgusting. It's disgusting, man. Like, and then people say, well, why would a dude act this way towards a young lady or a female? Because dudes get the mentality they're around people who will do anything.
Right.
Whatever you say.
Right.
And then you get in trouble because you feed into that thinking that, not me, I ain't get in trouble, but I'm saying.
Right.
Start feeding into your impermeable, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what happens, I'm good. And that's where a lot of athletes fall into that trap.
So the form was out of control.
It's not a family place, man. You know, well, I'm not gonna say it's not. I don't want to blackball the whole league, but it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Jesus, man. I hope some videotapes come up with the forum at some point while I'm still alive, though. I gotta see what's going on in there.
To be honest, I didn't even know about it.
Miami has the same thing. So if you go to Continental American Airlines Arena, I think it is in Miami, crazy club in there. Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. The Nets have one, but not too many players are in there after the game. Maybe
you might have to be strapped to go to Brooklyn one day.
So what was you're in Philly right now, you know, sequentially after Seattle. What was the difference in living in Philly, you know, opposed to Seattle? You're back on the East Coast. Did you feel more at home?
Definitely, man. Definitely more at home. I actually missed the weather because in Seattle it rained, man. It rained like 75% of the time, man. You know, like we broke the record of 36 days in a row with rain, you know. And when I say rain, it's not like rain pour. Like it could be just misting. And the people in Seattle, if it's misting, they got their top down. Like it's not even raining to them. You know what I mean? So it just was hard, man. It was hard to just be, you know, positive all the time. It was kind of depressing sometimes for me. Although it was the nicest, most beautiful city I ever been in. Coming from Boston, I would be walking down the street my rookie year. People, hey, how you doing? Hey, have a great day. I'd be like, what? Like watching them back, you know.
So happy for, motherfucker.
Yeah, nicest people you ever
happy for. I'm tired.
But then I go to Philly, and Philly got some tough fans, man. I was scared, B. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I'm like, man, if I don't come out here and hoop, they're gonna be on my neck. But I got saved because, and I feel so bad for this dude, man, Sean Bradley. He got
Oh God.
So, like, the backstory to Sean Bradley is, like, to me, he never had a chance because when he was drafted to Philly, they could have had Penny Hardaway or Chris Webber because Golden State wanted to trade the pick. They wanted to draft Bradley. They wanted to trade the pick and get Bradley #1. So Orlando offered Philly the #1 pick, which ended up being Chris Webber, and Golden State offered Philly the #3 pick, which ended up being Penny Hardaway.
Oh my God.
They ended up taking Sean Bradley, so the Philly fans was hot right out the gate, right?
That's not who they want. Yeah.
So now the backstory of Sean Bradley was he went to BYU and he didn't play basketball for 2 straight years before he came to the league because he had to go on a Mormon sabbatical.
Right.
So he's in the mountains for 2 years, no chicks, no basketball, doing his thing. 2 weeks after he leaves the sabbatical, comes straight to Philly. Ain't played ball in 2 years, man.
I didn't even know that.
And he had just got married. So he got all kind of things going on. Like
What? Head on the swivel.
perfume all over. You know what I mean? Like the dude had no chance, and I felt so bad for him because he got put in that situation where he went straight from a 2-year sabbatical to the fire. And
to Philadelphia.
And knowing that they could have had Penny or Chris Webber, you know, it was no chance, man. It was no chance. So we would come off with a warm-up line. The first exhibition game, it was the all-out boo. Nobody would think about me or nobody else.
Oh, we gonna attack Sean Bradley today.
It was sad, man. It was sad. That was
fucked up.
I felt for for a player on my team, and that was the worst.
Right. Yeah. So the story is, man, I just got I'm working on a Kobe tribute on my leg right now. I just got another tat earlier this week, man. So I'm really going in for my guy Kobe. R.I.P. man, the GOAT. That's my GOAT, man.
Right.
Changed my life. So the story is that Kobe used to come and watch you split pick and rolls, or how you worked the pick and roll when he was in high school, I believe. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Kobe was at Lower Merion High School. So the daughter, John Lucas, was the coach of the Sixers. His daughter was in school with him. So she would come to practice all the time and be like, yo, there's this dude, Kobe Bryant. We'd be like, you know, we hit him with the
Right.
So, but then he came in the locker room one day, and she introduced me to him, and I got to meet him. And he came to a lot of Philly games just because he was a student of the game,
Right.
Of the game. So one day he comes up, he's talking to Coach Thibodeau, and Thibodeau is my workout guy. So I guess he asked Thibodeau, could he sit right in the front row? And Thibodeau said, yeah. And he just watched while we just split pick and rolls because they would always trap me on the pick and roll. Like I couldn't run a pick and roll without being trapped. So I would run the guy out on a sprint pick and roll and then split the big man. And he sat there, and my pregame workout is 45 minutes. He sat there for 45 minutes and he watched the whole thing, you know. And then past games would go by, and I used to be like, I would go into the locker room, the Philly Killer, and it would be Kobe, you know. Then I got to the league. I mean, we're playing in the league, and he gets to the league, and this is where it all comes together. Where we kind of re-link up again is after he had the Colorado incident. His shoes had just came out, but they was only out in Canada. And I'm playing the Raptors. And I went and got some white on white Kobe's, Adidas Kobe's that had just came out right after the Colorado joint.
Right.
I painted them green. So we're playing the Lakers like a week later. The ball rolls out to the bench, and Kobe walks over to take the ball out, looks down because he needs to find his feet to get the ball in bounds. And he's like, oh, shit, DB, you got all my joints. Like he didn't say that exact words.
Right.
But I could see in his face what he had just went through. I could see that meant something to him.
Right.
And that kind of rekindled our friendship. When I was seeing, we would always now from that standpoint talk because he knew that I was repping him.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I saw them
I'm riding with you, dog.
When I saw them joints in Toronto, I'm like, nah, I'm wearing those. Mm-hmm. And I had to deal with Reebok, B. I wasn't even supposed to be wearing them. But we was playing the Lakers. I'm like, nah, I'm repping that game. So that's how it all came full circle. We really kind of touched back base from that point on again.
Now another legend, right? Obviously, you played in Philly. Your number was 3. You were a high school phenom in football. I mean,
right.
if you ask anyone else, all right, this person played in Philadelphia. He was a Philadelphia 76er. He was a high school phenom, and he
averaged 20 a game.
He averaged over 30 a game. Everyone's gonna say Al Iverson. You know,
right.
Like, no.
And he had braids. You know
right. He had braids.
I had braids. I was one of the first dudes ever to have braids.
Right.
In Philly, they asked me to cut my braids because they said it was a little extreme. I had the corn. Can you believe that, B? I had cornrows. They
That's
said it's
crazy.
Crazy.
So, I don't think you play with AI, but what was your ever have a relationship with Allen Iverson? Because you have a lot of similar.
Right. I never had a relationship, but there was always like a mutual respect. He went to Georgetown. I watched a Georgetown game one time when they played Villanova. And I got Thompson saying what's up to him, and AI was right there. I didn't get to introduce myself to him, but he knew who I was. I'm sure he probably. But being him on the court, man, I love playing against him. Man. Like the challenge of that guy, man, that was off the court. He was a rock star, man. But on the court, man, he was like nothing else, man. Like, yeah, he took a lot of shots, but that was the problem, B. Like, you couldn't take 1 second off, man. Like, he would come. It was he would in a playoff game. He would shoot 45 times if you let him.
Right.
He was relentless. You know, he was relentless.
You know how hard it is to take 45 shots? Come on, man.
Yo, in shape you gotta get up 45.
Right. Yo, we actually had Speedy Claxton on, who was a teammate with AI.
Right.
And he said the same thing. AI off the court. He said he didn't even realize how much of a rock star he was. They tried to go to Disney World once. And Speedy was going with another teammate, and AI was like, "Where you going? I'm gonna come with you." And he was like, "Wait, you can't come with us." And he ended up going, and like 5 minutes in, some little kid notices AI, and that's it.
It's over.
Cancel. Right.
It's over. He was him and Kobe, and also this was the time when MJ had retired. Him and Kobe was so unstoppable, man. They had really the ones who really pushed that illegal defense in that hand checking thing, man. Like he was so unstoppable, man. Like going from the MJ Detroit thing to AI, man. And he really brought that into fruition, man. Because that dude was unstoppable, man. Unstoppable, amazing.
And I gotta ask, the year is 1995 right now. You just got selected to be an All-Star. Did you think back, to your years like, I didn't even have college offers. How is this honestly happening? And when you walked in the locker room with the rest of those guys on the team, what was going through your mind?
Well, when I first was told, like, I'm a humble person. Like, I'm a real humble dude. Like, if you see me mad, somebody did something to me. You know what I mean? Like, but when that happened to me, when I made the All-Star team, that was the first time in my life I wanted to literally call people up and cuss their ass out. Like ex-coaches. Yeah, like that's like the first time I wanted to like, I'm like, yeah, I told you. Like I'm like that's the first time I felt like I just really didn't want to be humble at that time to the people who didn't respect me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then walking in that that locker room, it was just crazy, man. My wife was cracking me up because I didn't take my jersey. I slept with my jersey. I wore it on the plane home. I wore it to bed that night. I was drinking all night, wore it all champagne. Oh, I never took the jersey off 24 hours straight, B.
Yo, how was the All-Star festivities to you? So when going into it, were you on party mode or you on like, all right, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna enjoy it, or I'm trying to win MVP at the All-Star game? What was your mood like at that time?
I was serious because I had been to like 3 or 4 previous 3-point contests. So I had been to a bunch of All-Star games.
Right.
And I'm saying to myself, I am going to score a point in this game. And I went to bed early, B. You know what I mean? I was up in the run. I didn't do none of that party the night before the game. And I was dead serious. It was like a real game to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the thing that I wish I played more because it was Penny Hardaway's first All-Star game. And his coach was the coach, Brian, whatever.
Right.
So he wanted to get Penny MVP of that game.
Yeah.
And he came up and apologized after the game. And at that point, I wasn't mad. But when I got back, I was like, damn, I'm watching the tape. Like, damn, I only got like 8 minutes. But it was all love, man. It was an amazing experience, man. I got to show everybody all my dunks in the warm-up. Like, ain't nobody knew I could dunk. You know what I mean? I had my best. So it was amazing, man. It's something I'll never, ever, ever forget, ever.
Who was in the locker room with you?
And we had Larry Johnson, Lonzo Mourning, Grant Hill, Penny Hardaway, Pat Ewing, Scottie Pippen, Shaq. Like that was the main. That's the 1 year MJ retired.
Oh man.
That's the 1 year MJ retired, so I didn't get to play.
Right.
But it was amazing, man. Man. Joe Dumas was in there. Isaiah had just retired, but yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
We're definitely gonna have to put that picture in right now, Luke. Make sure you.
I just posted that All-Star picture on my Instagram story.
All right, we got it then. We got
get that.
And when you look at that picture, right? Look at that picture, and this freaked me out because, dog, I never knew I was that short. I'm in the middle of everybody like a foot. I'm like, damn, I'm that short?
That's that Napoleon complex that us short dudes have, man. We don't realize it until we see the picture.
Yeah.
The other crazy moment from that, I mean, there's a ton of crazy moments from that 95 season, averaging over 20 a game, well over 20 a game. That 50-point game in the NBA, guys don't do that. That doesn't happen. Even the best scorers, people aren't scoring 50 in a game. Did you wake up and just feel something different that day? When you went on the court, were you feeling it early on, or?
Nah, because I think B said it earlier. Kenny Smith, I had played him, and we played them every year in the playoffs in Seattle, Houston. And I had been killing him in the playoffs. Like, I was getting 8 minutes and scoring 12 points. Like, they was taking him out the game, so that's where that comes from. It didn't, like, the 50-point game wasn't a stem of what he's saying. He's saying that because in those playoffs, I was at him. And I got a whole bunch of confidence against him from that playoff series that we played. Yeah, so when we played in Houston that night and he started the game, I'm saying, okay.
But you knew. You smelled it.
Right out the gate. I'm good right out the gate. And then in the first quarter, I think it was 18 in the first quarter. Then it was a marathon. It was a foot race. It was a marathon. I said, okay, let me see what I can get by half. If I can get to a certain point by half, we might have something cracking, So that's how it started. It started off at 18 in the first quarter. And then the coach usually take me out and let me sit out the first 4 minutes of the second. But he put the backup point guard. He had 3 turnovers like in the minute. He put me right back in. So, fate,
That's wild.
What when you're doing shit like this, right? You're NBA All-Star. You're scoring 50 points. What was the home love like? What was it like in Mattapan or Boston, just in Massachusetts in general?
It was crazy, man, because I think when people watch me play, and they if you haven't played against me, you would think all I can do is shoot.
Right.
So all the people who didn't get to see me in college, because there was no cable and all that for the Big East, right? So if you saw me in 11th grade or 10th grade and you saw me shoot, all these people in Boston, you was like, damn, that little dude can shoot. But I became an explosive player in between that time. So when I would come back home, people would be like, what the this be like you? And so it was kind of like they was shocked. But they didn't see that development. My work ethic is unparalleled.
Right.
Like, it's unparalleled. Like
you still work.
Right. Because I don't ever want to lose it. Because if I'm ever in my gym and some little 12th grader come up to me and talk slick, I'm going to crack his ass immediately.
Hey, check it up.
Yeah. So, it just was, man. It was just like, man, it was born in me. Man, like I want to be that underdog guy. I want to be that person who you say can't do it. I would never, at this point in my life, I would never want to be the favorite. I'm not even built like that. Like I wouldn't even
Right.
be being the favorite.
I feel you 100% on that, though.
What made you stop playing at the park? You mentioned the first 4 years in the NBA, you come home and you still play in the park. Was there a reason you stopped?
I'm a motherfucking all-star now, man.
Yeah, man, like dudes trying to tackle you into the pole, trying to block your
100%.
goal. You know what I mean? Like it became that, oh, I used to be as good as him and now I'm the
Right.
same shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't have time for that.
Yeah,
Plus,
you get the most love from your city. At the same time, you're gonna have the most hate too.
yeah. So when it was basketball related, all those dudes who I grew up playing against, they wanted that re-up. You know what I
Right.
mean? They wanted every time they saw me, they wanted that re-up.
And so, during your All-Star year and stuff, did you have people hassling you on the streets? I know it's different now that there's social media, but were people coming up to you and bothering you for autographs, bothering you for photos or stuff, or was it cool in Philly?
Nah, it was cool in Philly. Philly's such a big city, man. If I did go to the mall, it would be love, But I honestly, dude, I didn't go nowhere. I didn't go to no clubs in Philly. I didn't drink. I didn't go to no bars. I didn't do nothing. That was my contract year, and I was on straight diet, dude. I didn't eat red meat for like 2 years leading up to my free agent year. Just tuna fish, chips, and applesauce. So it's just focus, man. It's just like I said, the discipline is unparalleled. Like it's not a mistake that people become successful, man.
Right.
There's a few little scatterers in there, but people don't get to see the backstory, man. The backstory is the real story, and we don't never get to see that.
And I think more kids especially need to hear that part. The sacrifice that goes into it. They don't quite understand that you don't just wake up and boom, I'm here. No, I had to do this. I had to do that. I sacrificed this. I sacrificed that. That's what put me in position to succeed, man.
Absolutely. Like I'll say honestly, I was drinking and smoking probably at 13,
Mm-hmm.
13 to 16. And from 16 to 28, I ain't do none of that. None of that. Like once I
And how
started
much
to
did you
realize,
achieve during that time? A whole
yeah,
lot.
no parties. They used to call my nickname was Ball Boy. Not because I was a ball boy for a team, because I had a damn ball. Every time you see me, they go
Mm-hmm.
little ball boy. It was a joke at first. You know what I
Right.
mean? In ninth grade, it's a joke. But then when I'm coming back from BC, it's not a joke no more. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And that shit like that right there. Matter of fact, me and you were actually on the same documentary with our boy Newbie.
Oh yeah. When he came
The
to my
out of
A run.
bounds.
Yeah.
Right, the out of bounds. And
Yep.
so we can relate on this when you are that passionate about something and you come from where we come from, you get that pass where the whole hood, where you grew up, is behind you, and the hood's goal is, all right, we want him to succeed, and we're gonna do anything in our power to make sure he succeeds. So that's the most street dude. Yo, that's ball boy. No one's fucking with him.
You said my story exactly, man. Like, okay, I'm 13 and under. I'm 13 playing 19 and under BNBL. I'm going to Washington Park playing 19 and under at 13. So the illest dudes in Mattapan is also the illest dude playing ball in Mattapan. So
Mm.
they would pick me up in a stolen car, take me down to Washington Park, do what I do. When the game was over, nah, take your ass on the bus. We going to do this. If
Right,
someone messing with me at the park, all the straps is coming out. I dare
right.
one of y'all to touch my little man. I dare
Real
you.
shit.
Like that's Elmont Park, Washington Park, Norfolk Park, here and there. Now on the court, dudes would be elbowing me. That was ball.
Right.
Like that's just ball. They wasn't even tripping off that. But sideways at me, they was coming out.
and shit like that too. I remember just being a youngin where I'll be playing Duke or something, right? And I'll think back to the time where I was 13 years old and I played against this old head. I'm like, I was scoring against him. I'm gonna score against this dude. That was hard. This ain't
Right.
nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Definitely.
So now, after the the huge year in 1995, you come back home. You play for the Celtics. Was that difficult? I think whenever I think about somebody coming home, I think I'm a New Yorker. I think about Stephon Marbury, and there's so many things going on behind the scenes that people don't realize about. Some hanger-ons or some old friends, or there's so many distractions. Did you face that when you first got back to the Celtics?
Not really, because my family was really protected me from a basketball standpoint. Like when it was game day, like my mother and father and them and my grandmother, they didn't let nobody come in the house acting crazy. They'd be like, keep it quiet, there's a game tonight, like
Right.
that going on. So I always had that unbelievable foundation, man, in terms of that. And just going out, the games, man, when the game started, it was another dimensional reality to me. Like, when you ask me about my 50-point game or those games when I had the state tournament games, I don't remember those moments. I have to go back and watch the tapes to remind myself of those moments. Then I say, oh yeah, because when you're in the moment and you're really focused, you don't even understand. You don't even realize what you're doing.
Facts.
It's all just comes out of you. Be like when you're writing music and it's something that's passionate to you. Like I be rapping with my son. I be rapping. If I'm writing a song about my grandmother or my mother, I'm done in 45 minutes. I'm tears in my eyes. I'm done. Like it's passion, and that's what
Right.
bring to the game. If you bring that that's what I bring to the game. You bring that to the game. It's not. And that's why I coach now. Like it's hard for me to coach. I ask my assistant coaches, "Is it me?" Because I don't feel like they want to play. Like, is it me, B? Tell me it's me. Please tell me it's me.
That's real shit, man. I think it's more so living in the moment, not in the past, because the people that watch you, they're gonna remind you of the things that you done and you did. If you ever got caught up thinking about your past accomplishments, that's when you kind of get lost.
Right.
You're living in that, I did that, I did this. That ain't got nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. I gotta keep doing this shit.
Definitely. And the greatest compliment to me, and it's happened like 5 or 6 times, when I'm with my son at it, like I do consulting for the Celtics, so I'll show up, speak to some corporate sponsors, and I might sign some autographs in the box, and then I'll go watch the game. So I'm sitting there with my son, and we're going to the Golden State game, and we're in the back tunnel because he wants to take a picture with Steph Curry. And Steve Kerr walks out, and he walks right up to me, and he says, yo, man, I hated playing against your father. He was one of the toughest. And then I see Chauncey Billups. He says the same thing. Yo, my heart is coming out of my chest with my son right there.
I got the goosebumps right now.
Hey, you got me smiling. You ain't my father.
I can't tell him nothing that will matter more than that.
Right. Come
You know
on,
what I mean?
man.
Sam Cassell, Nate McMillan, say this. It's just blowing my mind. Like, it's making me realize how good I was or how competitive I was, That to me is all I don't care if a newspaper, if a reporter ever tells me I was good or not. When I see Jason Kidd, he's like, yo, you was a problem. That's all I ever need. I think that night.
That's fine, man.
That's honestly crazy. There can't be a better film than that. I don't know what that feeling's like. Seems like it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, shit. He got both of us like this.
I know.
We felt it at like 20%. We didn't feel how he feels it.
I had to pause for a second. I was like, just thinking about it.
My eyes got watery and shit.
Yeah. Love, man. The love is special, man. When it comes from your peers, man, it's special.
That's dope, man.
Something I really want to know about your career was, you played for the Celtics, and then there was a year gap. Did you think that you were done in the NBA, or did you know all along, like, I'll be back?
At the end of my career?
Yeah.
Well, I was actually retired. I was retired. I was coaching The Celtics, I was assistant coach on the team.
That's what was wild. I was reading about it, and I was trying to figure out what exactly was going on when you were came back.
A couple of dudes got hurt, like Marcus Banks got hurt for a little while. So then they like, DB, we need you to practice. So it took me about a week to get in shape, but I started cracking that ass. They're like, yo, you need to play. I'm like, hell no, I ain't playing. Another week, cracking that ass some more. Then they was like, called me in the back. It was like, all right, we gonna sign you for the rest of the year. And I was like, okay. I'm like, okay, coaches check, players check. Coaches check, players check. I'm like, you know what's going on with
that player check.
Yeah, I'm like, let me get that player check for the last 35 games.
Yo, that's some wild shit, dog.
But that, like I said, being in shape. I stayed in shape. I ran a bike before practice. They saw me shooting around, playing one-on-one with Marbury and them. You know what I mean? Like, they saw that.
This probably low key when Marcus, no disrespect to Marcus Bates, he got hurt. Like, let's go. You know what time it is. Get Dana ready. They've been peeping the whole time, man.
No doubt.
You ever take a second to think, the modern day NBA, it's a different style of game. It's different. Like it's almost a reality show these days in terms of the celebrity status and social media. How do you think you'd fare in today's game?
Shit, I'd be max deal, man. I had me a max deal. You know what I mean? Like, look, I would come down, okay? I would take pull up a three-pointer 4 feet behind the line. If I miss, I didn't even look at the scorer's table because I knew what was going to happen, right? So that's how the game was then. Like, me, Reggie Miller, and I'm off the bench. So I'm not even in the game. Like, this is before Ray Allen and them. We talking about 93, 94. Ray Allen come like 6, 7, 8. Like, there's no one shooting. Petrovic passes away. There's no one shooting threes. So they were looking at me. I would watch TNT games where I would come in garbage time, and I would take 3 or 4 shots like 4 feet behind the line, and I was be like, yo, he's bugging.
That's what? Unguardable. As all the rules, how open the court is, how good of a jump shot maker you were, you'd be literally unguardable. You already were unguardable to a whole nother dimension in today's game.
And back then, you couldn't hand check.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? Back then, like, there's no illegal defense, till 96.
Right.
There's 4 dudes standing on the same side of the court as you.
Come on.
So, like, when people talk about how centers would play, like, power forwards and centers were enforcers. If I came down the lane and I hit him with a jelly roll and I did the Steph Curry, I would get clothesline the next play.
Facts.
Ain't no suspensions.
Ain't no fines.
2 shots, less who?
Right.
It's just a different game. But I don't understand. This is what makes me mad. Like, how scoring is so easy. Like, I'm DB. I'm not even like these unbelievable Hall of Famers. Every time I could ever remember I came off a pick and roll, I got trapped unless it was a surprise. Why are you taking Steph Curry, setting a center pick, and switching the center and letting Steph Curry play one-on-one?
When did that become the motherfucking consensus? When did it become we have to switch everything? When?
That's insanity.
Yo.
In that. You got a 6'2", 175-pound guard switching on LeBron because he just called the guard out.
Yeah, what? That's it? That's all it took? How? Yo, man, I'll never get it. I don't understand. It pisses me off every time I see it, dog.
It's disgusting. I don't know. Like,
it's disgusting.
Dude, I would average 35.
Yo,
you're gonna
100%. 100%. Yo, like, that brings me to my next question, right? I'm a MJ, Kobe, and then like a LeBron. Like not to take anything away from LeBron James because he's phenomenal in his own right, but this the eye test as a hooper. Watching MJ and Kobe play and what they went through playing basketball is just on a whole, and how skilled they were. Like I was arguing with my boys the other day. Like, you never seen LeBron go hard right or go hard left and just pull up mid range. Like, it's like you'll never seen that in your life. He can't even do that. That's nothing that's in his game. How can anyone be considered a GOAT if you have a flaw in your game? Like a Kobe and MJ, there wasn't any flaws.
No flaws. And look, man, if you talking about the GOAT, okay, and people say, oh, LeBron makes the right play. Okay, I'm gonna give you a scenario. LeBron comes down, there's 8 seconds on the clock. You down 1. He does his spin move that he always does. He gets into the lane and he kicks the ball to Will Perdue. That's the right play, ain't it? I want Will Perdue shooting. No, take a power dribble and shoot a pull-up on 3 people like Kobe and MJ. Get out my face.
Exactly, and that's why our show's called KYP, Know Your Personnel, because that's something you hear all the time. I'll tell a point guard that I'm coaching, why would you pass the ball to the kid that you know can't catch that ball, right? That's the wrong play. Know your personnel. Now, if it was the same kid that was open that makes layups and can catch the ball, then that's on you. But who the fuck's going to pass it to Will Perdue? That's the wrong play. If Danny Green is shooting 20% in the championship, we ain't making that pass. We're going to score this because it's the right play for the team.
That's a power pull-up all day.
Come on.
That's a power pull-up to the elbow, elevate, and knock it down. But that's what I don't like about it. If you asking me to start, if you want me to go to the prime of all 3 of those players, I'm going MJ, Kobe, and LeBron. Because to me, if you want one game, I'm picking Kobe over LeBron. I don't want LeBron. You can have 28, 8, and 8. Okay, but the last 3 minutes, you missed 3 free throws. You got 2 turnovers, and you passed the ball to a 26% shooter 2 times in a row.
Barros Pope the game winner. What?
I don't want that. And that's not saying Mike don't pass. He got 2 championships.
Right, but he passed it to the right guy.
To the right play.
That's it. That's the right play.
Right? He ain't swinging the cart right for the short corner shot with 2 seconds.
All right, every one of these, he made the right play.
So skill set, you want to tell me he's the most skilled at his size? Skill set don't make you the best. That's not what we talk.
It ain't exactly, man. Hey, see, real man, that's why I like this. Danny, you my GOAT, man. Add up to the motherfucking list.
We're putting him on there. Yeah, and Dana, I could tell, when I was doing a lot of preparation for this interview, watching a lot of old game tape, and I could tell you were ahead of your time. And like Rudy touched on it, with the pull-up threes and everything like that. People weren't doing it at that time, so I could only imagine what would be going down in today's NBA.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I had an unbelievable runner. I had a power pull-up off the drill. Like back then, you had to have many different ways to score, man. Like you're not just gonna be a standstill shooter and get it, because there was great coaches, man. Like we would play in a playoff series. John Stockton, as soon as he came over half court, we would trap him. The worst shooter is in the corner all by yourself. Knock yourself out, bro. You got 15 threes.
Open for a reason.
Right. That's how we play. You're not going to let your best player just get 75. It's just, I don't understand
your personnel, man. KYP.
Yeah. I understand it, man.
And it's crazy, too, because I remember watching your highlights in Seattle in big games. They're driving, they're kicking to you for mid-range twos that you don't even see in today's game. And you hitting them, and like it's nothing, obviously, for you. It's as good as a shooter you are. Bang, the crowd's going crazy. You think back to the Lakers in the bubble that Danny Greenshaw were talking about. He could have stepped in right into a two-point shot. Nope. I'm going to take the 3. Like, it's unheard of now.
And it's crazy, man. Like, and even like the centers now have to be able to shoot threes. If you're a center and you can't shoot threes, you're a liability. Like, it's just the whole game crazy, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It's honestly wild. Rudy, do you have any more questions for Dana?
I'm gonna charge my phone. Man, shit, this has been a pleasure, man. I appreciate you coming on.
All day.
I want to know is probably the wildest thing you've seen in the NBA from not even a basketball standpoint. From the outside looking in, like, damn, this is what goes on over here.
Wildest thing I ever seen. Damn.
No rules. You can say whatever.
All right, ask me one more. Let me think about. Let me ask me something else. Let me think about that. I want to get a good one. I want to get a good one.
um, let's go. Autograph sessions. What was probably the wildest autograph session that you had in terms of someone asking you where to sign?
Oh damn. I had like literally, man. Like I think it's funny. My wife don't think it's funny, but I had a stalker, man. Like just coming to like sitting outside my crib, like following the bus, like to the road games, to the hotel. Like, dude, I had every time I went to the hotel, I had an alias. Consuelo Ramirez. That was my alias name.
You look like a Consuelo.
Right? So the reason, like, and you say the craziest autograph was because when I had first at a Netscape, I had met her. I think I had signed here, and she was just like upset. It was crazy. My wife called NBA
Where was she
security.
from? Was she from New Jersey?
Yeah, but she was going to Philly, sitting outside my crib, and my wife looked out the window one day like, "Yo, that's the car." I'm like, "Get out of here!" I went outside. I was like, "Yo." She called NBA security. Called. They picked her up. B.
What?
Yeah, crazy. My wife was like, "Yo, teach me how to use the strap." I was showing her how to load up, chamber it, all that. That's how it was.
Yeah, that's wild.
I also have a question. I saw a photo of you with the Rari. I want to say it was like 1999. How were you feeling when you went and picked up that Ferrari?
That was my first one. I had 3 different ones. That was my first one. So that was crazy. Like, because people don't know. Like, we wasn't making no money then. I came in the league in '89. I had a 6-year deal. I started off at 275,000, 325, 375, 425. It went up 50 grand for 6 years. I made the All-Star team. I made $675,000. So I was in the league 6 years, never made above 700,000. So I signed my contract, right? Guess what happens the minute I signed my contract? NBA lockout. I lost $3.5 million the first year that was the biggest year of my career. Right out the gate. So that year, I think I was supposed to make like 4. I made like 1. Right? That 1, guess what I got after taxes? $511,000 in Massachusetts. $1 million check for signing bonus. I got $511,000, and $200,000 went on that Ferrari. I was like, "Yo, I don't care. I'm getting this Ferrari. I only got."
I deserve it, man. I've been eating tuna fish for 12 years. I'm getting this motherfucking Ferrari.
So that was the first one, and then the crazy thing happened after the new Ferrari came out, and it was called the Modena.
You gotta get that.
It was Modena, but I flipped it, so I got 2 of those Modenas. That was it for me. And then the kids came, and wifey was like, "Can't no car seat fit in them joints."
That's crazy, bro. Matter of fact, I do have a question though. I probably will end with is tell us about what you're doing now.
All right, I've been doing this really for 30 years, man. I've been running camps. It started off with my mother. She started my company. We ran that for about 20 years, and in the last 10 years, I just started with a new company and went from the complex to the club. And I just enjoy teaching kids, man, learning how to play basketball the right way. So I have a 5-court facility, Dana Barros Basketball Club. And B will tell you, we try to bring the best coaches in as best as possible. We try to teach the game the right way. And it's just a way for me to get back to the community because it gave me life. Like, kids don't understand. This is a way for you to go to school free. If you can't go to practice every day and do something you love to do, how the hell are you going to get a job and support your kids and your wife and your family and your mom and dad? So we try to incorporate life and basketball together. You got 10 different people on a team. In the NBA, you can have 3 European dudes, 6 black dudes, 4 white dudes, and then an 80-year-old coach. You know what I'm saying? Who don't even know what the hell none of y'all culture is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what life is. So that's just what we try to do at the Dana Barros Club. just try to be a mentor and a role model for people. And just to let them know, like Shabazz comes almost every day and works out, getting ready for his season. He's a free agent, and he's in the grind, man.
Right.
And that's what I feel like. Whenever he could call me 9 in the morning. What time you need me there? Because I've been there and I know what the grind is. He's been on 6 teams in years. He's trying to establish himself, and when he does, he's gonna be good. You know, so that's what it's about for me, is giving back. Again, this whole city looked out for me, kept me out of trouble, kept people off my neck, and I'm just trying to do my part, giving back. You know, there's gonna be 5 more me's coming out of here. 5 more Ramils, 5 more Shabazzes, 5 more, Wills, Blaylocks. It's gonna be. Mm-hmm. There's better athletes, man. These kids are younger, faster, stronger, bigger.
I was saying that today. I was working out a 7-year-old, and like, these kids move different.
It's different, man.
They move different, man. And they was being modest too. That Dana Barros basketball club, that's the best facility in New England, man. It's amazing, and it's a pleasure to be a part of it and to help out in the capacity that I do. Obviously, we got the same business partners in certain ventures, so it's a pleasure to be on board with you, man, as a legend, man. Not even in Massachusetts, but just in life, bro. This has been a great interview. Thank you for your time, bro.
Appreciate, man. Salute you guys. The honor. I love the show, man. Y'all, man, I've been on a lot of podcasts. Y'all actually, man, y'all seem like y'all been doing this for 4 or 5 years, man. Y'all got the smooth, ins and outs. I like that. Y'all
we appreciate that, man.
Yeah, and Dana, I just want to say thank you, man. Obviously, I've known about you, your whole career, my whole time I was alive. So it just means a lot to me. Have an NBA player on, get to talk. You told some real stories. I really appreciate that.
All day, man. And when the season comes back in December, I'll have my podcast. We shoot it now, the Dana Barros podcast, DB3. So we'll go back and forth, man. I'll go on yours. We'll come on mine, and we'll talk about the upcoming season, because the season coming up is going to be crazy. We got Steph and them coming back with Golden State, and Kyrie and them coming back in the East.
That's going to be bananas.
So let's do that.
Hey, Dana, appreciate you, bro. For real.
All day, man. Anytime, fellas. Let's get it.
All right, my man.
Wow. Rudy. Unreal stories out of the guy. 14-year NBA vet. It's crazy that he came on here.
We throw that word legend around a lot, man. That dude's a legend. The things that he says, a lot of people have never done before, never seen before. That shit's impressive.
When he started telling the story about ISO on Jordan, when he started waving off Sean Kemp, just take a second to think about that. He was waving off Sean Kemp to ISO Michael Jordan. And he's on our podcast.
Come on. You can't make this up. Like, you hear, play for the Sixers, football star, averaged 40 a game in high school. Who do you think of?
AI.
Nah, Dana Barros.
No, that was honestly unbelievable. It's going to be tough to match that one. Oh, we got some more guests coming in, though, so I'm excited. Rudy, anything else?
No, we lit, man. Stay tuned, man. We coming back full force.
KYP Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, YouTube.
Know your personnel.
Amazon Music, Spotify. Get to it. Luke's going to put it in right here. It's going to say, know your personnel. Make sure you can spell it.
See you next week.
I'm asses.